And again, I'll be doing everything in English and Spanish, so hopefully that's okay. Okay. Hello and welcome. And my name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C. We're a law firm in Oakland, California. We fight for the rights of immigrants who are facing deportation. I'm really happy to be here today with another one of our free monthly seminars. Every month we like to get on Facebook here, and we invite people into the office as well to share about a different theme related to immigration law that affects our clients, and I'm really grateful to be able to put these on. So thank you for being with me, and thank you for taking time out of your day to be here to get this information. Okay? So I'm really excited to talk about the theme of the aggravated felony today. And aggravated felonies are a very serious issue, and they come with very serious consequences for an immigration case. And so I'm glad that you're tuning in, and I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that we can talk about this important issue. And as we always do, we'll do the bilingual dance, and so I'll say everything that I just said in Spanish, and then we'll go through our presentation. So, hola y bienvenidos y mil gracias por estar conmigo ahora y estar conmigo hoy. Mi nombre es Otis Landerholm y soy el abogado principal aquí en Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., donde luchamos por su sueño americano. Y hoy, como hacemos cada mes, estamos dando un seminario gratuito para hablar sobre un tema. Y hablamos sobre otro tema diferente cada mes. Y el tema de hoy es un tema que se llama la felonía agravada, que es un tema pues sumamente importante porque las consecuencias de tener una felonía agravada son súper graves. Y así que me alegro muchísimo que usted está con nosotros para discutir ese tema importante. ¿Ok? So, y como siempre hacemos esos seminarios en inglés y en español. So, welcome. We'll basically do a short introduction and then we'll get right into the theme. So, vamos a hacer una pequeña introducción y luego vamos con el tema principal, que es la felonía agravada. Okay? So, introduction. So, I like for everybody to kind of know who I am, right? So, I'm Otis. People know me as like the pro or the lawyer here in Landerholm Immigration. I'm also a family man. My wife Wendy and I, we live in Albany, California. With our 2 kids. I'm also a bicycle rider. In 2005, I rode my bicycle across the United States, and I love riding my bike around town. And also Otis the Traveler. I've traveled in 22 different countries. I've lived in 5 different countries. I love going to new places, meeting new people from other cultures, learning how other cultures do things and speak and learn. I love learning languages, things like that, and ultimately that's a big part of why I do what I do. Okay, so I'll say all of that in English. Me gusta que todos mis clientes me conocen un poco y pues soy Otis el pro, el abogado aquí en mi oficina. Pero también soy hombre de familias y mi esposa y yo tenemos nuestros 2 hijos y vivimos aquí en el área de la bahía. Y soy biciclista también. En el 2005 yo anduve de un lado a otro de este país en bicicleta y fue una aventura muy divertida en mi vida. Y también soy viajero y he viajado a 22 países y he vivido en 5 países diferentes. Y es un gran un gran parte de por qué quiero hacer lo que hago. Okay? So all of that brings me to my why, which is that I believe in the freedom of movement. Yeah? And I always like to ask this question, like, why is it that I could travel to each of these countries, and why is it that I could live in the countries that are bold and underlined on this list and never, like, get deported and never once get caught crossing the border, or never once have serious problems or complications applying for a visa, and never really worrying about work permits and green cards, and never once seeing a judge about it, never once having to pay for a lawyer to fight my case. And I went to all these places, right? Versus, you know, this photo shows the wall that, yes, does exist between the United States and Mexico, and the crosses that are on this photo represent human beings who have died trying to enter the United States from Mexico. And it's like, why is it so simple for some people, like myself, to travel wherever we want to, and why is it so difficult for so many other people to do the same? And it's like, yeah, why is that? And what a question, right? And it's like, okay, let's use that question. Let's go to law school and find out. And then once we figure out why, it's like, let's start a law firm and let's start fighting about it, right? Because actually, the reason why is because we have a legal system that creates this difference. And it benefits certain people with certain types of documents, and it excludes certain other types of people with certain other types of documents. And that's the way our legal system is set up. And ultimately, it's not fair, right? And hence, you know, here we are. And here we are. We're lawyers, and we're paralegals, and we're legal assistants, and we fight for the rights of immigrants who are facing deportation. And that's really what it's all about, you know? So I'll say that all in Spanish. Porque, mira, yo soy gringo, yo soy norteamericano, yo soy de los Estados Unidos. ¿Y por qué soy yo abogado de inmigración? Y la respuesta a esa pregunta que me hacen todos es porque yo creo en la libertad de movimiento, y siempre me gusta hacer la pregunta de por qué pude yo viajar a estos países y por qué pude yo vivir en los países subrayados sin tener que preocuparme de ser deportado, sin tener que preocuparme de si iba a calificar para una visa o un green card. Nunca jamás tuve que contratar un abogado para luchar mi caso ante un juez. Jamás, ¿ya? Mientras, aquí está la foto con el muro que sí existe entre los Estados Unidos y México, y las cruces, no sé si se ve en Facebook, pero las cruces aquí en la foto simbolizan personas que están muertos, que murieron cruzando a los Estados Unidos. Y es como que, ¿por qué es tan fácil para algunas personas como yo ir donde sea? ¿Y por qué es tan difícil para la gran mayoría de personas en este planeta hacer exactamente la misma cosa? Y esa era mi pregunta. Y yo fui a estudiar leyes, y después yo abrí mi propio bufete de abogados para luchar esos casos. Porque la respuesta correcta es que tenemos un sistema legal que crea esa diferencia. Y es un sistema legal que fue aprobado por congresistas y firmado por presidente como cualquier ley. Es un sistema legal que permite a algunas personas con algunos documentos entrar legalmente a Estados Unidos, y que discrimina, y que no permite a otras personas con otros documentos hacer la misma cosa. Y eso es el sistema legal que tenemos. Y aquí estamos en mi oficina, y somos abogados, somos paralegales y somos asistentes legales, y estamos aquí para luchar por los derechos de inmigrantes que están enfrentando la deportación. So eso es todo lo que voy a decir acerca de quién soy yo y de quiénes somos en mi oficina. Ahora vamos a cambiar el tema y hablar sobre las felonías agravadas. Alright, so that's all I'm going to say about me. Now we're going to change, and we're going to talk about aggravated felonies. Alright? So there's 4 questions that we're going to answer in the rest of our, 15 minutes together here today. First, what is it? What's an aggravated felony? Second, why is it important? Alright? Third, what can I or what should I do about it? And fourth, how should I respond? How can I respond, alright, to an aggravated felony? Alright? So vamos a contestar 4 preguntas hoy. Uno, ¿qué es? ¿Qué es una felonía agravada? Dos, ¿por qué es importante? Tres, ¿cómo puedo o qué debo hacer con una noticia o con un cargo de una felonía agravada? Y cuatro, ¿cómo debo contestar a ese cargo? Okay? So, number one, what is it? So, perfect. Aggravated felonies is simply a legal definition, right? It's a legal definition that's set out in 237A2A that says any alien of the Immigration Nationality Act, I should say, any alien who is convicted of an aggravated felony at any time after admission is deportable. All right? These, 15 words, right, cause a huge amount of problems, okay, for lots and lots of people. And it's a fairly simple provision. If you look at other provisions in the Immigration Nationality Act, this one is pretty simple, actually, but it causes something absolutely disastrous for an immigration case, all right? So let me just point that out in Spanish, all right? So, ¿qué es una felonía agravada? Básicamente es una ley que existe y está entre la Acta de Inmigración y Nacionalidad de los Estados Unidos y con especificidad está en la sección 237A2A3, ¿ok? Y dice que cualquier inmigrante que ha cometido una felonía agravada después de haber sido admitido a los Estados Unidos es deportable. All right? Any alien who's convicted of an aggravated felony at any time after admission is deportable. All right. So, we also have to look at what does that term mean? What does the term aggravated felony mean? And Congress lays out a definition for what that term means, okay? And they have it here, and actually there's a great little handout that's provided by the ILRC, which is the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, all right? And if you get in touch with us through Facebook here at our office, I will send this to you right now, so just do that. And if you're here in the office, I'll just hand it out. And there's a long definition, and there's a long list, and at page 3 and 4 of this handout, it goes over the complete list of how the aggravated felony term is defined, right? But they say, the term aggravated felony means A, murder, rape, sexual abuse of a minor, B, illicit trafficking of controlled substances, so any sale of any drug, right? C, illicit trafficking of firearms, so any sale of any weapon, okay? Money laundering over $10,000, any crime of violence, not a purely political offense with a term of imprisonment of at least a year, okay? Theft or burglary offense with a 1-year sentence, and on down the list. There's a second page. I won't go over every single one in detail. The thing to notice about this is that some of these, and only some, say that it has to have a 1-year sentence, which means that some of these and only some actually have to be felonies, all right? And it's important to understand that there are misdemeanors. Misdemeanor sales of drugs, for example, is an aggravated felony by definition, regardless of the sentence imposed. If you are facing a conviction for even 5 days, for even 1 day in jail for sales, of firearms or drugs, that will be an aggravated felony for immigration purposes, and we need to be really clear about that, okay? So, let me say all that in Spanish, all right? So, dentro del Código de Inmigración hay una definición que hizo el Congreso cuando aprobó la ley, y es una definición larga y tiene muchas categorías y subcategorías, ¿ok? Y dice, por ejemplo, el término felonía agravada significa homicidio, violación, abuso sexual de un menor, el tráfico de drogas, el tráfico de armas, ¿okay? El lavado de dinero de una cantidad arriba de $10,000, un crimen de violencia con un término de imprisión de por lo menos un año, un robo, un robo con una sentencia de más que un año, ¿ok? Y pues hay muchos, ¿ok? Y tenemos una lista que viene del Immigrant Legal Resource Center. Si usted quiere una copia de esta lista, por favor que se ponga en comunicación con mi oficina, se lo mando ahora, ¿ok? Luego, algo que hay que ver, ¿ok? Es que algunas de esos crímenes vienen con las palabras que tiene que incluir una sentencia de más que un año, pero algunas no. Es decir que, por ejemplo, si uno tiene venta de drogas o de sustancias controladas, y si la sentencia es solo un día, y eso sería un misdemeanor bajo las leyes estatales, pero para la ley de inmigración va a ser una felonía agravada con inmigración, aun si no fuera una felonía, ¿ok? A veces los misdemeanors cuentan y hay que entender eso, ¿ok? Así que hay que prestar atención a esos detalles. Hello, welcome. Join us here. All right. So we talked about what is an aggravated felony, and now we're going to talk about why is it important. Okay? Hemos hablado sobre qué es una felonía agravada. Ahora vamos a hablar sobre por qué es importante. All right? So why is it important? First of all, it makes a person deportable. All right? That's what we reviewed right at the outset, right? But not only are you deportable with an aggravated felony, you're not eligible for any waiver. There's no waivers available, all right? You're not eligible for a law called cancellation of removal, even if you had a green card before. You're not eligible, okay? There's no other relief available. You're definitely going to be detained throughout the whole process if you've got an aggravated felony. I say there's no other relief available except a very strong U visa, which we'll talk about briefly, or a very strong what we call CAT case, which is Convention Against Torture case, which we'll talk about very briefly at the end also. All right? And in addition to those penalties that come with it, there are severe penalties for illegal reentry after being deported if you've got an aggravated felony. All right? And we see the aggravated felony term being fought in the courts at the sentencing stage of illegal reentry cases. We see that a lot, right? And because it means that they're gonna enhance the sentence. All right, it's pretty nasty and very, very severe. All right. Okay, so I'll say all that in Spanish. So, ¿por qué es importante ese tema y ese término? Porque uno, como ya mencioné, una felonía agravada le hace a uno deportable, ¿ok? Pero además de eso, y ya estando en procedimientos de deportación, uno no puede calificar para ningún perdón. No hay perdones para personas que tienen la felonía agravada. No hay cancelación de remover, ¿ok? Que la E42B o la E42A no existe para personas con felonías agravadas. Casi no hay ningún otro tipo de remedio. Okay, las dos excepciones son visas U, que son fuertes, y vamos a mencionar un poquito más de eso al final, o casos fuertes bajo la Convención contra Tortura, okay, pero casi son imposibles de ganar eso si uno tiene una felonía agravada. Además de eso, hay penalidades, ¿cómo decirlo? Como penas, algo así. Mucho más severos para personas que ya fueron deportados y están reentrando otra vez. Muchos de los casos que vemos acerca de esa categoría de la felonía agravada están discutiendo la sentencia de cuántos años va a tener que estar encarcelado o en prisión por haber reentrado después de tener una deportación por el hecho de que está reentrando con una felonía agravada. Okay? Awesome. So we've talked about what it is. We've talked about why it's important. Now we're going to talk about what can I do about it. Okay? Hemos hablado sobre qué es, sobre por qué es importante. Ahora vamos a hablar sobre el tercer tema, que es qué puedo hacer. Okay? So what can I do about it? So first thing, I recommend that no one accepts a guilty plea for an aggravated felony. At least not without speaking to an immigration lawyer who knows this stuff, and not without speaking to a criminal defense attorney that's really got your back. All right? Don't settle for, oh, you know, I needed to take a plea to something that's going to cause this much damage to your immigration future. Okay? So instead of accepting a guilty plea, right, enter a strong plea bargain, all right? Enter good negotiations with your criminal defense attorney, with the DA. Have our office, have an immigration lawyer who knows what they're doing, write a letter, a detailed letter, so that the DA and the criminal and the judge on the case understand exactly what the consequences of that plea would actually mean to your immigration case. All right? And don't just settle for, oh, they told me to accept guilt, right? Don't accept guilt of something that's going to absolutely bar you from ever seeing your family again on U.S. soil. All right? And we see people plead guilty because they feel like they were pressured into it. But it's like, talk to an immigration lawyer first, please, okay? And have your criminal defense lawyer talk to an immigration lawyer first. All right. The second thing is, if you've already accepted guilt, or if you were already found guilty of it, now what? All right? And there, you know, sometimes, in some cases, there's something called post-conviction relief that can actually change the course of action. So if your previous attorney messed up and accepted a guilty plea on, accepted a deal, and, you know, signed on the dotted line for something that ended up being found to be an aggravated felony, you know, if you can show that that attorney didn't give you good advice, didn't explain what the consequences of that is, right, you can potentially reopen and vacate that guilty plea and get back to the drawing board, renegotiate a deal, all right? If you have questions about that, feel free to contact my office. I'd love to walk you through that process, all right? We don't do the criminal defense work, but I know great people who do, okay? So the third thing is to prepare your defense, okay? So if number one and number two aren't options, right, then we've got to prepare for war in immigration court, and that's where my office really steps in, okay? There basically are two. There's a third that I'll mention briefly, but basically two laws that we can use right now. They are CAT, which stands for the Convention Against Torture. It's similar to asylum, right? It's similar to asylum, which means protection for people whose lives are in danger if they go back to their country. But asylum is actually barred for anybody with an aggravated felony. So if you have got an aggravated felony, you don't qualify for asylum. The only law that's sort of related is based on the International Convention Against Torture. And you can only qualify for that if you can show that it's more likely than not, more than a 50% likelihood, that if you go back, you're going to be tortured by the government of your country, or what they say, at the acquiescence of the government in your country. All right? So that's that. The U visa, we'll talk about in a slide or two also. It's for people who've been the victims of serious crimes here in the United States. And then the third is what we call 212C relief, which I almost never mention it because it's old law. It doesn't actually fix any crimes now, any aggravated felonies now. The guilty plea had to have been entered before the law was repealed by Congress in 1996. Okay? And four, you know, we've got to understand and prepare for the severity. People are going to be detained through the entire process, right? You know, we've got to just wrap our heads around. If we're going to fight about it, we've got to know what we're getting ourselves into. Okay, great. So I'll say all that in Spanish as well. We're doing great. So, ¿qué puedo hacer? Okay. Y realmente mi primer consejo es que nunca cede a la culpabilidad a uno de ellos. Okay. O sea, nunca permite que su abogado criminal, que su defensor criminal accede la culpabilidad de una felonía agravada. Debería hacer por lo menos una consulta buena con un abogado de inmigración antes de aceptar la culpa, y su abogado también debería hacer una consulta buena con un abogado de inmigración. ¿Okay? Además, una opción y un servicio que ofrecemos es que nosotros escribimos y podemos escribir una carta completa que usted puede demostrar a su abogado y al fiscalía y al juez en su caso, para explicar bien y para que todos entiendan las consecuencias de tal y tal cargo en su futuro migratorio, ¿ok? Y en su caso de inmigración, ¿ok? Y realmente yo recomiendo que si van a darle ese tipo de cargo, pues que vaya a la lucha y que tenga un abogado que es un defensor criminal que va a realmente luchar su caso, porque usted no quiere acceder la culpabilidad a algo que realmente va a completamente destruir sus chances de quedarse aquí en Estados Unidos con su familia. ¿Ok? All right. 2. Si ya pasó eso, y si ya está encarcelado, o si ya pasó su sentencia, o si ya tiene una felonía agravada, ¿qué puede hacer? ¿Ya? A veces existen opciones para reabrir el caso. Y hay criminalistas, y por favor que se ponga en comunicación con mi oficina. Nosotros no lo hacemos, pero tenemos contactos y hemos trabajado con abogados que son criminalistas buenas, que saben reabrir ese caso y buscar los errores que tal vez había o que tal vez hay en su caso criminal. ¿Ok? 3, si no funcionan esas cosas, preparar su defensa. Y puede ser remedio bajo la Convención de Tortura, bajo el remedio de la visa U, o el remedio del 12C, que ya no existe, pero es para crímenes viejos, ¿ya? Antes de que el Congreso canceló esa ley en el 1996. ¿Okay? Y 4, hay que entender y hay que prepararse para todo el proceso y para lo severo que son esos casos, ¿ok? Porque realmente usted va a estar detenido durante el proceso y no va a ser un proceso agradable. All right. So, all right, we talked about what it is, we talked about why it's important, we talked about what to do, and now we'll talk about how should I respond, all right? And this is where we'll go a little bit more deep into what the options are if we're actually in immigration court right now. What can we do, all right? Así que ahora vamos a hablar sobre cómo debo contestar a esa alegación, okay? Si ya estamos en corte ante un juez de inmigración, okay? So first, and really what I'm doing if I'm in immigration court and my client's here and he's charged with an aggravated felony, all right? What I will do is I will not admit to deportability, all right? In immigration court, there's a notice to appear, right, that has allegations and charges. And we want to look at that document because that describes the government's position and why they even put us in immigration court to begin with, right? And so just like in criminal proceedings, I have the right and the ability to accept the charges and the allegations or to deny them, right? And if we're looking at an aggravated felony charge, I'm almost always going to deny that charge, and I'm going to say that the burden's on the government. The government has to prove that my client indeed has an aggravated felony conviction. And they've got to show the certified court records and the dispositions and all that stuff. to substantiate their charge, all right? So one first strategy is, hey, we're not accepting what you're charging us with, right? And we're not accepting that charge actually is an aggravated felony. Like, it's got to be what they call categorically an aggravated felony. And there's a difference between a state law criminal offense and this federal law definition of this term, aggravated felony. There's a disconnect. And so the government actually has to prove that the state conviction is categorically, for federal law purposes, a quote-unquote aggravated felony. If they can't do that, then that charge will not be sustained. All right? Great. And that bleeds right into argument number 2. Don't concede that the crime committed was, in fact, categorically an aggravated felony. Right? That's exactly what it is. All right, so then number 3, fight the charges and the allegations and do it with legal briefing, right? So when we have these types of allegations, we'll submit a brief. We'll ask for what they call a contested removal hearing, where now a judge is going to accept all the legal arguments to say why this conviction is not an aggravated felony, or why it shouldn't be considered that, all right? And then 4, present your case with alternative arguments, right? In other words, 1, I disagree that this conviction even is an aggravated felony. And 2, even if the court finds that it is, here's all of my applications for 212C, for a U visa, for relief under the Convention Against Torture. Right? Does that make sense? All right. So I'll say all of that in Spanish, right? And we're moving right along. So, ¿cómo contestar y cómo contestamos a esos casos? Primero, pues, si estamos en corte y si mi cliente está allí y si tenemos la noticia de aparecer con los cargos y con las alegaciones, no vamos a acceder a las alegaciones y los cargos, ¿ok? Si es una felonía agravada, vamos a decir que realmente no estamos de acuerdo, juez, que este crimen, que esos cargos en su caso criminal son una, entre comillas, felonía agravada para procesos federales de inmigración, ¿ok? Y vamos a argumentar que no es una felonía agravada categóricamente. Tiene que ser una categoría para esos casos y tiene que haber una decisión de si es o no es, ¿ok? Y nosotros podemos argumentar, y hemos luchado esos casos, diciendo que juez, eso no cabe bajo la definición bajo la definición federal como una felonía agravada categóricamente, ¿ok? 3, hay que luchar contra las alegaciones y los cargos y hacerlo con ensayos, argumentos legales, ¿ok? Cuando estamos en esa lucha, tenemos que realmente preparar todos los argumentos de, mira, hay otros cortes que han visto otros casos parecidos y han visto que no fue una felonía agravada. Y por lo tanto, con esos cargos, usted, juez, debería ver que no es una felonía agravada también. Algo así, ¿ok? Y 4, hay que presentar su caso con argumentos alternativos. Es decir, que 1, vamos a argumentar que no estamos de acuerdo con ese cargo de la felonía agravada, pero 2, aun si usted, juez, dice que sí, aquí vamos a estar listos con todas las aplicaciones, como el 212C, como la visa U, como el remedio bajo la Convención contra Tortura. All right. So now we're going to talk about those 3 things in just a little bit more depth, and then we'll wrap up, okay? So the 3 big options, if somebody's got one of these cases, old 212C, right? It's basically a discretionary application from a judge saying, look, judge, we've got this crime, but look at all the good things. All right, look at all the good things in my life, look at my family, look at the years that I've been living in U.S. soil, you know, look at my rehabilitation after the crime, things like that. And it's only for lawful permanent residents, so only for green card holders. and it's only for crimes that were committed before 1996. So it's almost non-existent now. We've got a couple of cases actually, but it's almost non-existent now. All right, but it's there, right? And if you're in that situation, you might still be eligible for it. All right. The second is relief under the Convention Against Torture, only if you can show that you would be tortured by your government or quote unquote with the acquiescence of the government. The good thing about relief under the Convention Against Torture is you can apply even if you're undocumented. You can apply even if you're a green card holder, right? So it doesn't matter the immigration status. 212C is only for for green card holders. CAT, you can be undocumented or a green card holder. All right, and then the third and potentially the most common is for a U visa. U visa is a special visa. I've got a whole other monthly seminar specific about the U visa, so feel free to check in there. And the U visa is for people who've been the victims of serious crimes here in the U.S. and who have reported those crimes to the police, all right? And so to the police and cooperated in the investigation or prosecution of that crime. The great thing about U visas is that both undocumented and green card holders can apply for U visas also. The problem with U visas is that they take a really, really long time. U visas, though, come with waivers, and they're very generous waivers, and it's not easy, but they can, in certain instances, waive even aggravated felonies, and so that's why it's on this list. All right, so in Spanish, tres opciones. Uno es el 212C, okay, que ya no existe, pero existía antes de del 1996. Y es solo para los que tenían o que tienen green cards, okay, los residentes legales. Y el segundo es la Convención contra Tortura. Y eso es solo si usted puede demostrar que su gobierno va a torturarle o que va a ser torturado en su país y el gobierno realmente no le va a proteger nada, okay? Y personas indocumentadas o personas que ya son residentes legales, los dos pueden calificar o por lo menos aplicar para esa aplicación. Y tres, la visa U, que es una visa para personas que han sido víctimas de crímenes aquí en los Estados Unidos y que lo hayan reportado a la policía o a la fiscalía y cooperado en la investigación o en la prosecución de ese crimen. Esas personas pueden aplicar para una visa, y lo bueno de la visa U es que viene con perdones bastante buenas y pueden, no es fácil, pero pueden perdonar hasta una felonía agravada. Así que por eso está en esta lista. Okay? So, I also want to say, like we always do, right? If you're watching this on Facebook and if you want a copy of this presentation, or if you want a copy of the handouts that we've prepared, then just text us here on Facebook, just the initials for aggravated felony, just AF, all right, to 510-646-0904. We'll send you a copy of the presentation. Feel free to do that. Or you could send us that same message, sorry, AF on Facebook. NTA was from last month, disregard that. Okay. And en español, si usted está viendo eso, mil gracias. Y si quiere una copia completa de esa presentación, por favor, mándanos el texto AF, que es para felonías agravadas, a ese número de teléfono, el 510-646-0904, ¿ok? Y mil gracias por estar con nosotros hoy. Thank you so much for coming in. I know this is like a lot of information on a very, very, very specific area of immigration law. And I really honor each of you for coming in, and everybody on the internet, thank you so much for being with me here today to learn about and to think about this horrible subject. It's actually a horrible subject. I hate aggravated felonies, all right? I'll just say that publicly. And I would love for anyone who's actually on Congress and can do something about it to change or to make it less, the consequences of these things are actually horrible. All right? They're horrible. And anybody that will hear me, I'd love to talk with you more about it, because my office hears the cases, all right? And actually, there are a few human beings that are like in my heart forever that have been deported because of this, all right? And I would welcome any opportunity to talk to you in much more depth about really what the consequences of this law is, all right? So, mil gracias por estar conmigo ahora, mil gracias a todos los que están en internet, y pues mi nombre es Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., luchamos por su sueño americano, okay? Thank you. Cool.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.